Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, Patrick and Mark are replaced by Goo Trick and Goo Work. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellis. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including details on transferring Pokemon between games and a new Switch bundle. And then on Thursday, come back for that because we're going to be talking about SP versions of Nintendo games, or like our fantasy SP versions. We even need to define this a little bit between now and the next episode, but I think we're there. I think we understand each other, don't we?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I didn't know if I could talk at this point.
You can always talk.
I know I can always talk, but I didn't know if it'd be like interrupting the flow.
Yeah, because it was going so well at that point. You dare not interrupt
whatever
was happening.
We're already way up over the opening of last week.
Yeah, that's true. We're doing great right now. This is what you were waiting for, of course. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great. And I'll tell you why I'm doing great.
Please.
We are less than a month away.
Oh, my God.
From determining the 8 best NES games of all time.
Yeah. And, part of the conversation that we're having on Thursday involves older, harder games and how to make them easier. So I've been doing kind of a dive into NES games. So I've got a lot of them on the brain, Mark. I'm thinking about NES games.
Now, look. We do definitive rankings well.
We do them very well.
Yeah. But we can always use help because sometimes we come close to making a wrong decision.
There are times that we do come close to making a wrong decision, but we have been the disaster has been averted multiple times only by virtue of you, the listener, emailing us at our email address, nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com, and telling us what to include on these lists or what not to include on the list. We recently got an email from James, who is a listener, has participated in these before, and he lays out some do not do's, some leave these games off this list. Also, I just want to read the top of his email because it's not related to NES games. He says, "Hey guys, first up, it is way too early for Christmas music. At least too early to play so others can hear it. The day after Thanksgiving, play it for all. However, if you're listening to music or podcasts alone, play whatever you want." So I guess I agree with that. I'm still judging you a little bit, Mark, for...
That's fine because I found support on Twitter where one of our listeners tweeted at us saying that they've been watching Mickey's Christmas Carol since like July.
Well, Mickey's Christmas Carol is one of the best Christmas carols out there. I guess it's up there with the Muppet Christmas Carol. I like them both.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was also in a stage production of A Christmas Carol my sophomore year in high school. I'd put that up there as well. Well, look. If you want to participate in our 8 greatest NES games of all time, all you got to do is email us and tell us what to include, what not to include. You can give us all 8. You can give us 2, whatever you want. Only restriction on this is...
only one game per series.
Only one game per series.
So don't try to sneak multiple Mega Man in there or Castlevanias or...
Donkey's Kong.
Don't even try. And please get this in before November 8th.
Yes.
Because that's when this episode's releasing.
Right. The episode will be recorded the Monday before that. Likely the Monday before that. It might be a little bit later. We don't know. Schedules change. Here's another thing that you can do with that email address, which again is Nintendo Cartridge Society @gmail.com. You can try to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces. I bought Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch. I played it for a couple hours, more hours than I expected to, honestly. And then I said I should share this bounty with the world, or at least the people who listen to our show. It's currently on its way to North Carolina.
Woo, Tar Heels.
And someday it'll come back to me, I hope. And then it'll go out to the next listener. So get your name on that list and enjoy this game, or at least spend some good time with it. All right, Mark, are you ready to get into what we've been playing this week?
Yeah, let's do it.
NES Switch Online. We got 3 new games. 4 new games?
4, kind of?
So, Solomon's Key, NES Open, and Dodgeball were the 3 games that we were expecting. And then there was a little like bonus of the Legend of Zelda SP. Or SP edition, SP version.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it has the subtitle, finding it right now, Living the Life of Luxury, maybe? Or maybe that's just like a headline they put in the description. It's very unclear.
Sure. Do you want to? Well, we are going to talk more about SP, what that designation means in Thursday's episode.
Special. I mean, I think it means special.
I think it means special. But I mean, what it actually means for this version of Zelda. We'll be talking about that more on Thursday. And so just come back for that then. But in the meantime, you've been playing some Solomon's Key?
That's right. I didn't know what this was, and I started playing it. Basically, you are a wizard.
I think you're a wizard.
You're a wizard. And
I think you're a load runner, because the game is basically load runner.
You can create blocks, and you can disappear blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much the game. Like, it's like puzzles. You are figuring out how you can get to like a key that'll open a door, and then you can also save like a fairy.
Yeah,
like items you can pick up.
Yeah, it's like a side-scrolling
I wouldn't say scrolling.
That's
it's
right.
Like,
You're right. Side not scrolling.
I'm assuming this is a arcade port, right?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I guess
it feels very arcadey. Man, this game is hard. Liberal use of the NES's like save scrubbing feature.
Yes,
because I absolutely like every time I make even the tiniest bit of progress, create a new save file so that way I can go back to it. Because at first I wasn't doing that like a dummy, and so I had to like repeat the first levels multiple times.
And why would you do that?
Why would I do that?
Especially when it's like a puzzle solving thing. It's not you just solve the same puzzles the same way again.
And I wasn't having that much fun, so why would I try to redo it?
Speaking of not having that much fun, I also tried NES Open and Dodgeball, and these games are virtually unplayable now.
I didn't even bother with NES Open, but Dodgeball, here's another one where it would be great to have an instruction manual. What am I supposed to be doing?
Also, NES Open. Mark, I could barely get my ball off the tee. Like, I couldn't. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. All of these games need instruction booklets, or some sort of just easy explanation of like, this means this means this. You're trying to this.
Here's one thing I haven't done is Google it. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. I'm positive it's out there somewhere, but I shouldn't have to do that.
No, it should tell you in the game. There should be a feature within the NES online, whatever, that tells you just the very basics of like, it just needs to be like a couple screenshots and like a little bit of text.
I know that I harped on this when we did our episode about the NES Switch Online.
Yeah.
But it irritates me to no end that you can pull up a controller schematic and it just points out where the buttons are. It doesn't tell you what the buttons do.
Yes.
It's just like, this is start. Not helpful.
Right. Yeah, it's yeah, I'm enjoying Solomon's Key a little bit, but the other 2 games I'm like, come on, man. Like I need some like direction or just like better games to play.
Here's the thing. I just don't think the majority of NES games are very much fun.
I think that there is with very few exceptions, like a ceiling to how much time you can spend with an NES game now. There are obviously exceptions like DuckTales and a bunch of Mega Man games and Mario 3 and Zelda, and Star Tropics, of course, Star Tropics. Did I just make my list of 8 Nintendo games? But like for the most part, yeah, there are too frustrating, too opaque, too hard,
or too simple.
But
not like in a fun way like Tetris or Dr. Mario, in a bad way.
Dr. Mario.
Like Dodgeball. Yeah.
So take that, Dodgeball. Here's something I want to complain about, which is something that I've tried to play this week. I was playing Solomon's Key and going back and forth between that and a little bit of Mega Man 11, and I was like, you know what? What am I with the directional pad?
Oh, sure, like the D-pad?
D-pad, there we go. I even said directional pad. I just needed you to shorten it for me. Thank you. I was getting sort of frustrated with the D-pad, and I was like, wait a minute, I've got an 8-bit NES 30 Pro controller that I have previously synced up to my Switch. I know I can use it there. I'm gonna play with it. So I got it out, tried to get it to connect, wouldn't connect to my Switch. And I was like, okay, maybe there's been a new firmware update. I know the Switch has been updated several times since I last connected it. So I go back like online, figure out how to update the firmware, which also isn't easy. I had to like find a YouTube walkthrough to like explain the product I owned so I could sync it up and update the firmware. And then even after that, I couldn't connect it to my Switch.
Lame.
It was super weak. Like I just wanted to use this cool looking old controller. And I've been trying to like hold buttons on it and push buttons on it, just make it sync, and I couldn't. Do it. I gave up. Put it back in its little case and slid it back in the drawer.
It's basically garbage now.
It is basically garbage right now. So if you would like to borrow my garbage, Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
I'm not going to send that thing around. Don't ask for that. But on the subject of Mega Man 11, I continue to play Mega Man 11. Last time we talked about it, I had only beaten 2 of the 8 robot bosses. I have since defeated all the robot bosses.
Huzzah!
Huzzah! And shortly before you came over, I had beaten the second Dr. Wily level. This game is hard, but I like it a lot. Like with all Mega Man games, it's amazing to me how as you get deeper into the game and you have more of the weapons, that all the levels become a little bit easier. You just start to feel more powerful, and it's like this rolling. Because for a while, I'm like just sort of going around sampling levels and like seeing how far I can get in them, and then when I come back, just overall more powerful and also maybe more in tune with like Mega Man logic. The whole thing like just kind of fades away much more easily. And then I'm really loving the challenge of the Dr. Wily levels. The first Dr. Wily level is like a platforming nightmare. And I got into that groove where, because Mega Man 11 looks like a modern game, but it plays like a classic game. So it will punish you and make you play those same sections over and over again. And I got into like such a good groove of like just doing it and nailing it, and rooms that when I first got to them, I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to do this, and then like would just jump in with like no pauses and just bam, 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 and get exactly. It just feels so good. I'm really enjoying Mega Man 11. I'm sad that I'm getting close to the end. And then also this weekend, just Sarah and I played some Super Mario Party, and that was fun. I know I previously said don't get this game unless you plan on playing it with 4 people. It's still enjoyable with 2. We spent a long time messing with some of the games in Toad's Rec Room. So some of the Toad's Rec Room things are the games that require 2 switches.
Oh,
like 2
I didn't
tablets.
realize any of them didn't require 2 switches. I thought they all did.
Mark, you and I had the same set of assumptions until I was just playing this game. And there is a thing in Toad's Rec Room where you're putting together like 8-bit puzzles. So there's just like a sprite of an individual, Mario character, and each player controls, a little avatar on the screen that's like pushing and pulling these like chunks of the sprite, and you're just putting them together like little slidey puzzles. But it works where you put the actual physical switch down on the table, and then it shows you like player 1 sits on this side of it, player 2 sits on this side of it, and that determines. I'm still not really sure how exactly, but we tried playing it like up on the TV, and our controllers weren't oriented the right way or something, so we just like couldn't get a handle on like which way we're supposed to be looking. But it was neat to have like physically where we were in relation to the Switch determined like what our controls did. And Sarah and I put together I think 30 of these things, just like little puzzle after little puzzle, and it was like kind of calming, or like very simple, to use the word that you said earlier, but was just like fun and engaging, and I really liked it for how simple and stupid it was. I think there's so much more to Super Mario Party than your first couple times playing it will really reveal to you.
Do you need 2 copies of the game to do Toad's Rec Room with like the multi-console thing?
I don't believe so, but I don't know that for sure.
Because I could, in theory, bring my Switch over.
No,
I know it's
It'll
not
never
actually possible
happen.
because our Switches will never meet.
No, we should definitely do that. If for no other reason than like Yumi and Sarah could play some multiplayer things in Super Mario Party. And again, I think there are so many different. There's so much more that we can be getting out of this game, just by exploring all that there's there. But like the game does sort of like gate off some of these things. I couldn't go into Toad's Rec Room right away. I had to like earn some medals or whatever. So very much like as I continue to play WarioWare Gold, thank you. That the games within that game start to reveal themselves as well. It's weird. I mean, it's nice to be rewarded with like actual stuff that you want to do, but it's weird that they're like, there's a fun game here, but you can't access most of it until you spend time with some of it. All right, so that's what we've been playing this week, but let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Today, October 16th, Lego DC Supervillains comes out. Starlink Battle for Atlas comes out.
Oh boy.
Now, how do you suppose you pronounce this one? Warriors
Orochi
4. This is a combination of like Dynasty Warriors and the other one. What is it? It's like Dynasty Warrior. Wait. Let's stop the show while I think about this.
Okay, all right. I don't know what you're trying to describe.
Is it Samurai Warriors? It basically like one is like the like Chinese history and one is Japanese history.
Oh, okay, sure.
They're both.
And this is a
combination of the two. That's right. Valkyria Chronicles, the first game, is on the Switch eShop. NBA 2K Playgrounds 2 is out. That's quite a bit. So, temperature on Starlink.
Temperature on Starlink. I had forgotten that it was coming out.
I know. It seems like it's totally going to be forgotten.
I mean, I did just see a headline on Kotaku that said there's way more Star Fox in Starlink than we were expecting. So that, I think, bodes well for it. I mean, I don't know. I wonder if it'll get any sort of like real buzz around it. I haven't seen any like reviews for it yet. So yeah, I don't know if it'll be forgotten. You asked about my specific temperature.
That's
on it?
right. Yes.
When I saw that it was in the lineup of new games coming out this week, I had a like, oh man, like moment because I was like, do I have to buy another game this week? So I might be buying another game this week.
On Thursday, October 18th, Siberia 3 comes out on Switch. Now, the only reason I bring this up is because my only experience with the Siberia series is the first game, and I played it over 12 years ago on the original Xbox.
Great. What is it?
It's like a old school point and click adventure.
Okay, yeah.
But with like modern, at least for the time, graphics.
Uh-huh.
Here's the thing. I'm assuming Siberia 3 has been out in the world for a very long time, right? There's no way that
you would think, right?
That it's just now making its way to Switch. Anyways, that's just a thing. And then on Friday, October 19th, Dark Souls Remastered is coming out. I am actually going to buy this because I've actually already bought it. So
Sure,
I'm locked in.
That's right. You've pre-ordered it digitally?
Digitally, yeah.
Wow, that's the rare digital pre-order.
Yeah, well, actually, I do it fairly often when they're up for...
Oh, you get some bonus points.
Well, no, you don't get bonus points, but I mean, just like when I can download it early so I don't have to like try to all download it on Thursday or something.
Yeah. But you didn't get bonus coins for this one?
I don't think so. And in fact, by I don't think so, I mean, no, I definitely did not.
Siberia
also
3 came out on Steam April 20th, 2017.
Oh my gosh. Took forever.
Well, 2 years.
No. I mean, from like the first game.
One
for the Siberia saga to be completed. Has been quite the journey. And then also on Friday, October 19th, the Solaire of Astora, the Dark Souls amiibo, is finally being released as well.
Are you picking up that amiibo?
I don't... no, I'm not.
It's
I was going to say I don't think so, but no, the answer is no. I know.
was a GameStop exclusive, right?
Oh, probably. I think that's right.
Yeah, it's probably going to be impossible to find it.
So you said, am I picking up another game this week? Does that imply that you're planning to pick up a game?
No, I mean it is because I just picked up still feels like it just happened Super Mario Party. That was only
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
a week and change ago.
absolutely.
Which, I would say that it is common for me to buy a game, one game a week. But they are not all
$60
retail
like, games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, should I pick up Guacamelee so I can get Guacamelee 2 for a little bit cheaper? And then I was like, well, why am I doing this? Like, I could just buy Guacamelee 2 when it comes out. But I want to support Drinkbox. I like Drinkbox.
Last week we talked about The World Ends With You releasing on
yes.
Switch.
Mhm.
And I was like, maybe I'm going to pick it up, but I'm going to wait for reviews. Reviews came out, and I determined I'm not going to spend $50 for this when the next week I can get Dark Souls Remastered for $40. And I looked it up. It's available on the iPad for like $17.
Oh, well then, yeah, definitely.
And the Switch version is basically just the iPad version.
Right. I mean, with a little bit more content, and then also the like waggle controls, which
but
being widely derided.
Yeah, it just didn't seem worth the extra $30.
Oh no, definitely not. I mean, think of what you could do with $30, Mark.
I'd be like more than halfway to buying The World Ends With You,
and not quite halfway to buying Starlink: The Battle for Atlas, because it comes with like toys or something.
Well, not if you buy it digitally. Then it's still just like $60, however much it is.
Yeah, but how do you look, Mark? You know me. Am I going to pass up the opportunity to spend $15 on a kind of cool looking R-Wing and a little Star Fox?
That's a good point. You're not.
You're not
going to do that.
I am a weak man, and I will buy it. All right, Mark. Let's let's get out of the new releases. Now it's time for a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, today, of course, we are going to be discussing the Muppets and who are our favorite and least favorite Muppets. Character in the Muppet oeuvre. I may have betrayed one of my Muppet biases earlier in this episode by saying that the Muppet Christmas Carol is one of the top 3 Christmas carols, along with my sophomore year high school production and the Mickey's Christmas Carol. But who's your favorite Muppet?
Man, I guess it'll be obvious to listeners because Pikachu is my favorite Pokemon. That Kermit, I think, is my
I was like, who is the Pikachu of the Muppets? But I get the parallel.
Yeah,
now,
I think Kermit the Frog. I think he's my favorite.
I have a little bit of a confession to make here.
Okay.
I like the Muppets. But my heart comes to the Muppets by way of the Muppet Babies.
Okay.
That's where my emotional connection to the Muppets was born, and that's where I feel like it was fostered most regularly. So when I think about who the Muppets are, I really think about who they are as Muppet Babies.
Totally fair.
And in that context, I gotta go Gonzo.
No.
And I know that that's a monstrous thing to say of like adult Gonzo, who is a cretin, a bad person who does weird things with chickens. But as a child, like as a weird child who is just trying to like express himself and like have fun, I think he's the best Muppet baby.
Man, because Gonzo's kind of on my list of worst Muppets.
I understand
of
that.
Like the core like Muppet group.
Right.
But I respect your answer. I also have a follow-up for my favorite.
Yes.
Animal.
Gotta love Animal. Animal's great. He plays the drums. Is he like wearing like shackles or like
He
they're
is,
just
yeah.
like anklets?
It's like no. I
Is
think
it like he broke
there's
out
shackles.
of,
It's like he broke out of
he
somewhere.
broke out of like an old timey French prison.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Janice, also really like Janice.
Yeah, I like all of the Electric Mayhem. I think they're all good. I tell you what, like, sorry, there's a lot of situating happening here in this recording of 433. You know what Muppet I think, like, just as a physical presence, I like probably the best is Sweetums.
Oh yeah, Sweetums is great.
Sweetums is the giant, like, hairy one with like the big flappy mouth.
Have you ever seen the Muppets 3D movie at Disney World or I guess they don't really show it anymore, but it used to be a California Adventure.
I saw it at Disney World, but a very long time ago.
They had like a big, as part of the show, Sweetums would like come out into the audience like holding like a flashlight and stuff, and that was always super fun.
That is great. I'll tell you who else I love Muppet-wise, and who I think that the older I get and the more cynical and jaded I get, the more I relate to Statler and Waldorf.
Oh yeah, they're great.
They're wonderful. If they go to the same show every night, they expect to hate it. So I think, obviously, if we're talking least favorite Muppets, you're going to put forth, I guess, going to put forth Gonzo.
Yeah, I mean, Gonzo of like the core Muppet group is my least favorite, but I have disdain for Bean the Bunny.
Too cute.
Yeah, too cute, in no way funny,
Right.
not enjoyable to be around. Do not care for Bean.
Yeah, I think that's fair. How do you feel about Miss Piggy?
Complicated.
Right? It's tough.
I like the idea of Miss Piggy more than I like the execution.
Here's one of my big problems with Miss Piggy. Too violent. She's
Very violent.
She's way too violent. She is always hitting people. Thank you. Thank you.
Finally, somebody said it.
Well, I guess we'll never know. We were accompanied today by the string orchestra of the Conservatory de Musica in Coimbra. Great, Patrick. Good read. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
To go along with Diablo 3's release on Switch next month, Nintendo has revealed a Diablo 3 Eternal Collection Special Edition Switch. The system, dock, and an included carrying case all have Diablo 3 artwork on them, and it comes with a download code for the game for the cool price of $359.99.
Exactly what you would expect it to be.
And it's exclusive to GameStop, releases the same day as the game does, November 2nd.
While you're at GameStop, you can pick up that Solar Day.
Good luck, yeah, trying to find it.
So this thing looks kind of cool. Have we seen other actual Switch consoles have like graphics on them?
Did the Monster Hunter one?
Oh, you know I don't know the answer to that question.
I think the Monster Hunter one may have.
None of the Pokemon one doesn't, right? And the Smash Brothers one, I believe, also doesn't.
Right. They usually the docks usually get artwork, and sometimes the Joy-Con, but yeah, it's very rare that like the system itself does.
Yeah. Do you like that?
I think I like it.
Yeah, I think you like it.
Yeah.
What Joy-Cons does this thing come with?
Just like the gray ones.
Standard gray.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. You don't want to have any like fun flashy colors playing Dark Souls.
It would be, or Diablo,
whatever we're talking about.
It would be cool if they released like you know how the developer units are black, like black.
Yeah, not like the gray.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Yeah, because that feels appropriately demonic. Mm-hmm. We're both excited about Diablo 3 coming to Switch,
I
right?
am, yeah.
And we talked last week about we might want to buy second Switches. This is not going to happen, right?
No. This is not the second Switch I'm going to buy.
Right. It seems like a sort of a weird entry point for someone, right?
Yeah, it does. But I think it is kind of, I'm guessing it's like the Monster Hunter one. In fact, the fact that it's exclusive to GameStop means that it is,
point.
for a very like select audience. I can't imagine they're pumping out a ton of these. But I think it's cool. I like that they continue to do this.
Yeah, and for third-party games too. I think that's cool. Especially a party that is so far outside of like the Nintendo stable, like Blizzard.
And if you were or are like a really big Diablo fan or Diablo 3 fan, and you don't have a Switch and you're like, now I can play Diablo 3 on the go, like I could see how this would be appealing.
Yeah, or if you just want to be able to bring a Switch to BlizzCon next year, this is the only one.
Yeah, or
That
if you're just
will make
looking
it
to
look
like
cool.
summon a demon into this dimension.
And look, who isn't?
Give me a nice demon, or
Yeah.
at least a helpful one.
That's right. Probably won't be nice.
Luigi's Mansion for 3DS includes a co-op mode where the second player controls what appears to be like a green, just like ghost version of Luigi.
Yeah, you're dancing around Slimer, but he looks like he's Slimer
I
reconstituted.
wrote Slimer in the notes. I just didn't want to say it because it kind of gives away the punchline of this news article. But basically,
I don't think it does.
Nintendo specifically asked the Games Press to not disclose the name of this second Luigi before release. But now that the game's out, we know what he's called. Gooigi.
Gooigi, which is pretty good. Pretty good job, Nintendo. So, look, if we are introduced to a Toadette that becomes Peachette,
Uh-huh.
and now we've been introduced, and then the internet gets set afire with Bowsette, right? And now we meet a Gooigi.
I mean, Waguigi seems.
Waguigi is the next logical step. A Goozer, a Bowser made out of goo. I'm saying there's a lot of potential here, and no one is tapping it. So I would like any of our listeners who have a flair for the artistic to get us some renderings of goo versions of other Mario characters. Let's come up with some good pitches here.
Okay.
So obviously King Goo,
Mm-hmm.
it's like King Boo, but he's made of goo.
Goozer Jr.?
Goozer Jr. Yeah.
Goozalina?
Goozalina. We're not going to top that one.
This past week, Ubisoft started sending out surveys to gamers in France and asking for their opinions on a variety of Mario characters, including Daisy, the Koopalings, Wario, Waluigi, Birdo, Bowser Jr. The list goes
Gooigi.
on. Could this be for a Mario plus Rabbids 2?
Interesting. Do you think that, I mean, obviously, Nintendo trusts Ubi to make a game with their characters. Do you think that they are, like, stuck with the Mario plus Rabbids?
I don't know if, like, stuck is necessarily the term I'd use, but the first game sold very well.
Yeah.
So, but there was obviously, like, room for improvement, or at least room, to, like, embellish what already exists. So, I mean, I think a sequel makes sense. I don't think they have done everything there is possible to do with that game.
Sure, that there's more. I mean, there's always another way to iterate on a like tactical combat sort of game.
Yeah, and there's always a bigger fish.
There is always, in fact, a bigger fish. So you can expect a giant cheep in Mario plus Rabbids 2.
Which Mario characters would you want to see in like a hypothetical? I would love to see Wario.
Yeah, we got to get Wario and Waluigi.
Is a Rabbids Wario redundant? Like, is the Rabbids Wario actually really defined? Refined?
Or really, is he ripped? I mean,
Yeah.
In there are some of those WarioWare mini games where the Wario will be represented in the game itself, and sometimes he's just ripped. And I don't know if that's just part of like the fan art nature of WarioWare, but like, yeah, this is what I want to see. I want the Wario Wabbid, of course, to be a ripped version of Wario. I think that's perfect.
I think it's we'll never top that. The survey also included characters that appeared in the first game, like Luigi and Mario.
Seems weird, right? To be like, hey, how do you feel about Mario?
Yeah, it does a little bit.
Like, I think we know what people feel about. They like him.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Uh,
More Marios, please.
Look, we've talked a lot about Meltan. in recent weeks.
Oh, hold on. We need to like stop and reset because it sounded like you were just responding to what I said with, look, we've been talking a lot about Meltan the last couple of weeks.
Right, we're moving on.
This is a new news story.
New bullet point. Look, we've talked a lot about Meltan in recent weeks, maybe more than any specific Pokemon we've ever mentioned on this show repeatedly, other than Jigglypuff.
Right? I mean, you won't shut up about Pikachu.
Yeah, but I think we've talked about Jigglypuff more.
I think you're probably right.
Or I think at least the name has come up more often. But now we have more that we can talk about Meltan. We've learned how Meltan can appear in next month's Pokemon Let's Go games. So, generally, when you're transferring Pokemon from Pokemon Go to the Pokemon Let's Go games, you'll be rewarded with like candies that specific Pokemon likes in Pokemon Go. But the first time you transfer a Pokemon from Pokemon Go to the Let's Go games, you receive a special item called a mystery box.
Okay.
And once you open the mystery box, Meltan will begin to appear in Pokemon Go, where he can be caught. And then once you catch him in Pokemon Go, you can transfer him to Go Park in the Pokemon Let's Go games.
Okay, so if you want a Meltan in Pokemon Let's Go, you've got to have any Pokemon in Pokemon Go, transfer it over to Let's Go, get a
Mystery box.
At which time, go back to Pokemon Go, and
The mystery
find the
box is
Meltan.
in Pokemon Go.
Right.
Yes.
And then so it just says he will start to appear. That you can start to like hunt them down, and then you would have to catch it and then transfer it over. It's an involved process.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing: once you open the mystery box, or after it's been used once, it closes for a like set period of time. So you can't just like be pumping out Meltons left and right. And then it after that set period of time.
You need to open the mystery box, and that like attracts the Meltan.
No. I think I'm guessing.
Okay.
I'm reading between the lines here that you get the mystery box the first time, you open it up, Meltan begins appearing in your game probably while that mystery box is open.
Okay.
Right? After a set period of time, it closes and Meltan no longer appears in your game. Or you have caught your one Meltan, right?
Right.
Mystery box closes.
Right.
Then after a set period of time, it opens again. You transfer another Pokemon to Pokemon Let's Go because that's required.
Right.
And then Meltan appears again in Pokemon Go.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Is Meltan all of the evil in the world, and the player is Pandora, and the mystery box is Pandora's box?
I am reading between the lines here, right? I don't have a definitive answer, yes
analysis.
or no.
Mm-hmm.
But my personal reading is absolutely.
Okay, so we like Meltan, right?
Yeah.
He's cute.
He's adorable.
His face is like a big nut.
He seems useful.
He does seem useful, and he's expressive. He's got he's got a big eye.
And we like that.
We like that. Will you...
He's kind of like the Eye of Sauron.
The ultimate evil.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't make me like him less, Mark.
No,
is what I'm driving at. Are we going to... Look, we're both going to play Pokemon Let's Go.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to re-download Pokemon Go, because it is almost certainly not on our phones anymore, just to go through this rigmarole and get us a Meltan?
Here's something that could happen. You could download Pokemon Go again and then gift me a Meltan. That way I don't have to do it.
I don't... What do I get out of this? I'm giving you a gift? This doesn't sound like me.
Okay, speaking of Pokemon, game director Junichi Masuda was interviewed by GameSpot, and he reassured players that they will have the ability to bring Pokemon from previous games into the next installment, meaning Generation 9, meaning the game that's going to release in 2019.
Yeah, that's right. Because at present, there is not, with the exception of bringing games over or bringing Pokemon over from Go, there's no way to bring Pokemon forward from like the Pokemon Bank in previous versions of Pokemon.
The other thing I wasn't entirely sure of with the Go Park part of Let's Go is like, can you use those Pokemon in the game? And it seems like the answer is no. Like they just exist in the Go Park.
That might be right. Yeah, I feel like there's still an awful lot we don't actually know about how holistically Pokemon Let's Go plays.
And we're only a few weeks away at this point.
Yeah,
like
that's
a month,
crazy.
basically.
That's crazy. Wait, is it November
16?
Okay, good. We don't know. I'm glad.
Nintendo has detailed the exclusive gear that you can unlock with the Octoling amiibo in Splatoon 2. The Octoling girl awards players with a witch costume, hat, and shoes. The Octoling boy awards players with steel gear, a cool suit of armor.
It is cool.
And the Octopus awards players with a goofy mascot costume.
Yeah, and in the graphic that they were using to advertise it, it's holding balloons, but Nintendo was quick to point out that the balloons are not included.
And finally, while the amiibo are out in Japan and Europe November 9th, they don't come to North America until December 7th.
Which is also Smash Brothers Day. So weird.
Yeah.
But also one of the costumes is a witch costume, and it's coming out on November 9th or December 7th. Like, they are missing the Halloween boat by a week or a month and a week.
Well, they know that we all carry Halloween in our hearts with us all year long.
Don't we shut it down? November 1, aren't we like, okay, time to put away spooky things? And we move on. We say now we have to do the real spooky work of having dinner with our families.
Spooky.
All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. Okay, that is going to do it for this entire episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, if you could please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, that sort of thing helps us out tremendously.
Or Spotify.
Yeah, are we on Spotify?
Or the
Yeah.
Google podcast equivalent. Anywhere that you get your podcast, they all have places where you can rate podcasts, and we appreciate it. I'm not sure why we specifically call out Apple Podcasts every time, but it's a good place to get it too.
I mean, that feels like that's like the baseline, right? Like that's where that's where we want to have that measured from. You can review us, like Mark says, anywhere, and really we've stopped bugging you about it, right? We haven't mentioned it. I say it at the end of every episode, but we haven't really leaned into it for a while. So I guess we're going back on that, and now this is us really kind of hectoring you to leave us a review if you haven't left us a review. We appreciate it, but also leave a review. If you'd like to follow us on Twitter, I'm at Patrick_Ehlers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Cart Society. We're on Facebook. Mark and I write about comic books on ReckonPunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Gwark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ehlers saying, thanks for listening.
Campfire.